She loves to say, you can't cage a free spirit. Marriage? According to her, it's just a government trick to stick women in emotional handcuffs. So I decided to give her exactly what she always bragged about wanting. Funny how freedom suddenly feels terrifying when there's a rent bill attached to it. Allison and I have been together a little over 2.5 years. We moved in together about 1.5 years ago, and honestly, it felt casual at first. She didn't believe in labels, said commitment was just consumerism with rings. I didn't press anything. I liked being with her. She's gorgeous, fun, and absolutely electric when she's in a good mood. But living with her has taught me something. A free spirit still likes the lights to stay on. Because while she preached independence every chance she got, she wasn't actually independent. She works maybe 15 hours a week at a yoga studio, and spends the rest of her time making crystal charging videos on Instagram. Meanwhile, I've been paying about 80% of our shared expenses, rent, groceries, utilities, you name it. She always swore it was temporary, right up until those 18 months passed without her business taking off. Unless by taking off, she meant occasionally selling eucalyptus essential oils for $30 a bottle. Up until recently, I didn't mind. But I'm 29. I'm in tech. I want to start planning my life, maybe buy a house, maybe build something long-term. Not a wedding tomorrow or anything. Just a direction. A partnership. So one night, I brought all that up to her. Calmly. No pressure. Just a genuine conversation about the future and maybe, contributing a little more. What followed? Oh man. Her eyes got huge, like I'd just suggested we sacrifice a goat to the mortgage gods. She slammed her water bottle down and practically spit out, oh my god, here it comes. You want to turn me into a bland suburban housewife. I tried to stay calm. I told her, no, I'm asking if you want to build a future together. She shot back, build what? A cage? Is that what you want? A little domestic doll to greet you at the door and make casseroles because you're getting old and desperate. Old and desperate? I'm not 60 with 6 divorces. I'm asking her to help with rent and think about saving for a future. But apparently, in Allison's world, basic adulthood is a form of oppression. I mentioned rent, and she literally said, there it is. You're trying to drag me down to your level and make everything about money when love should be enough. Love can't buy groceries. Love doesn't pay the landlord. Even Buddha had sponsors. 6 different times she used the word cage. I counted. And that's when it hit me. She doesn't want a relationship, she wants a lifestyle. She wants security, comfort, and support, minus any accountability. That's not a partner, that's a dependent. So when our landlord emailed us about renewing the lease, I told him I wouldn't be renewing. Found a smaller place for just me. Gave Allison 2 months notice, way more than the lease requires, and told her she'd need to figure out her own living situation since she values her freedom so much. You'd think she'd pop champagne and celebrate her glorious independence. Nope. She's been having full-on breakdowns for 3 weeks straight. Crying, yelling, saying I abandoned her, accusing me of throwing away something beautiful. This is the same woman who said talking about a shared future was trying to trap her soul. Now suddenly she wants to build a life together. Selective spirituality, I guess. Yesterday she tried a new tactic. She asked if, instead of being a couple, we could just be roommates and split a new place 50/50ths. I asked her how she planned to afford half of anything when she makes maybe $400 a month. She told me she'd figure it out and that I was being financially controlling for bringing up math. Basic arithmetic, apparently another tool of the patriarchy. I move out in 2 weeks. She's now switching between calling me cold and begging me to reconsider. And to top it off, she's telling everyone I'm kicking her out, like I threw her onto the street with a bindle stick. Honestly? I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just stunned at how someone can want every benefit of a committed relationship but none of the responsibility. It's starting to feel like she didn't want a boyfriend at all. She wanted a parent. Edit. People asked about her family. They are wealthy, and they've been pressuring her to get serious about life for years. She barely talks to them now because they won't stop mentioning words like career and employment. I'm starting to think she moved in with me to avoid moving back home. Why did I stay this long? Easy. It was comfortable. She was fun when things weren't dramatic, and I convinced myself she'd grow up eventually. Yeah. Classic mistake. Thank you to everyone who messaged me after my first post. I honestly thought I might be overreacting, but reading what you all said helped snap something into focus. I wasn't crazy. I was just done being used. So, here's what happened after that. I figured giving Allison 2 months notice was generous. Apparently, somewhere in her head, she translated I'm moving out into he's joking and will come to his senses. She acted like nothing was changing. Kept making random plans for next month, talking about our future adventures, like we were just going on a vacation together, not breaking up. But last weekend, I started pulling stuff out of closets and taping up boxes. That's when her reality finally tripped over its own shoelaces and smacked her in the face. Suddenly, she transformed into the world's greatest girlfriend. She woke up early to make me breakfast, eggs, toast, even cut up fruit on the side. She asked deep, emotional questions about our connection. Wanted to communicate authentically. She lit candles. She hugged me more in 2 days than she had in the entire last month. She even cleaned, and let me tell you, watching her voluntarily wipe down a counter was like seeing a solar eclipse. Rare. Mysterious. Slightly concerning. She whispered things like, I just didn't know how scared I was of loving you. And, I realize now how much you mean to me, and I'm ready to grow. And for a moment, for maybe 2 days, I almost believed it. I really did. She looked sincere. It was almost enough to make me forget 18 months of, the universe will help me when it's ready. Then I checked if she'd applied for any apartments or at least looked into where she'd live next. She hadn't done a thing. No calls, no tours, no roommate searches. Nothing. When I asked why, she said, I'm focusing on US first. Logistics are a distraction. So that wasn't love. That was stalling. When acting sweet didn't work, she switched to mystic priestess mode. Overnight, our breakup became an affront to the cosmos. Suddenly, she was leaving crystals around the apartment like Easter eggs. Burning sage every few hours. Talking in whispers about signs from the universe. She told me she'd had a vision, that we were twin flames destined to walk a spiritual journey together, and my desire to leave was ego resistance. Then she whipped out her tarot cards. Sat cross-legged on the floor and declared, like some mystical judge, that the card said we must stay together. I asked if her cards mentioned unpaid rent. She said I was being energetically violent and mocking her spiritual practice. The spiritual guilt-tripping didn't stick, so she loaded up a new weapon, social media. Out of nowhere, she posted this dramatic Instagram story about how toxic masculinity is suffocating her divine feminine essence. Her wellness influencer friends swarmed like bees to spilled kombucha, praising her bravery and calling me a controlling brute who couldn't handle a woman with power. Funny how none of them addressed the fact that knowing your worth should probably extend to buying your own groceries. But that wasn't the worst part. She called my mom. Full tears. Full victim mode. Making it sound like we were practically married and I'd left her standing barefoot in a thunderstorm, clutching her crystals while I laughed maniacally. My mom was baffled. She asked me what was going on. I explained everything. My mom paused for a solid 5 seconds before saying, so, she doesn't want to commit to you, but she wants you to commit to supporting her forever? Even my mom summed it up better than I could. Allison also messaged my sister on Facebook, pleading with her to talk some sense into me, claiming I was throwing away something pure over financial restrictions. My sister sent screenshots. In one message, Allison literally admitted she couldn't afford to live without me, but claimed that was irrelevant because love transcends materialism. Then came the grand finale. 3 days ago, I come home from work. I open the door and find Allison sitting on the couch with 2 of her friends, the same 2 who post moonlight manifestation videos online. They had notebooks, a laptop, a slideshow, a full-blown PowerPoint intervention about how I was manifesting scarcity and choosing fear over love. One of them actually said, you're intimidated by Allison's spiritual gifts, so you're trying to control her with the illusion of financial expectations. The other chimed in, emotionally evolved men don't worry about mundane things like rent. You're clinging to low-frequency thinking. I listened for 10 minutes. 10 minutes longer than any sane person would. Then I stood up and told them all to leave. Allison sobbed like I had just banished her from a sacred temple. She accused me of rejecting her community and stunting my own spiritual growth. That's when it finally clicked with painful clarity. This has never been about commitment or independence or spiritual enlightenment. She has crafted an identity around being a free-floating, goddess-like spirit who believes she's too elevated for bills, jobs, or responsibility. But that identity only works if someone else, me, does all the earthly grunt work to keep her lifestyle afloat. She doesn't want a partner. She wants funding. She wants sponsorship. She wanted me to bankroll her enlightenment while she preached freedom from the comfort of a fully paid apartment. Now that I'm not paying for her throne, I'm suddenly the villain in her fairy tale. I'm moving out this weekend. She's been bouncing between begging and screaming. Last night she yelled that she never loved me at all and was only with me because I was safe and boring. Today she's back to crying and talking about our beautiful journey. But here's the truth that hit me like a brick to the face. We didn't build a life together. I built a life. She just lived in it. She built an Instagram persona. And I was her unpaid brand sponsor. I'm done lighting myself on fire just to keep someone else warm, especially someone who won't even admit the flame exists. Edit. People keep asking where she's going to live. As of this very moment, she still hasn't applied for apartments or looked for roommates. She keeps saying the universe will provide what she needs. Well, I guess we're about to find out if the universe accepts Venmo Jesus. I thought the last few weeks were bad, but this week was chaos wearing mascara and waving a crystal on a stick. And I'm writing this from my new apartment because I finally moved out yesterday. So let me tell you how the final act of the circus went down. After everything that happened, the love bombing, the tarot cards, the squad of enlightened influencers, I figured Allison would finally face reality with just 1 week left on our lease. I assumed she'd start packing, job hunting, calling friends, something. Nope. Instead, she hit the red button. The nuclear option. She called her parents. Now, I've only met them a handful of times. They seemed nice, polite, a little exhausted by her whole, floating through life routine. But I assumed at least they knew what was going on. Apparently not. Her dad called me the next morning. He sounded confused, like he'd found out his dog was secretly juggling chainsaws in the backyard. He asked if there was anything he could do to help us work things out. I explained everything as gently as I could, how Allison and I just wanted different futures, how she valued independence, and how I respected that. There was silence, then. Independence. Is that what she's calling it? And then he tells me something that nearly made me drop my coffee. Her parents had been sending her $500 a month, for years. Years. They assumed she stopped needing it because she moved in with me. Meanwhile, she hid it, let me pay for everything, and spent their money on soul alignment workshops and crystal collections. When I confronted her about it later, she said, "It's not income. It's family support." And I deserve help while I build my spiritual business. This woman had 2 funding sources and still couldn't scrape together enough to buy groceries. By Wednesday, her entire wellness army had been activated. I started getting messages from strangers with profile pictures featuring moon phases and essential oil bottles. They called me closed-minded, low vibration, emotionally unevolved. One woman sent me a 20-minute voice message explaining that my fear of financial instability was blocking my heart chakra. Another offered to remove our energetic barriers for $200. A bargain, really, just 2 months of her actual income. Allison was eating it up online, posting like she was Joan of Arc with a yoga mat, telling everyone her soul tribe was protecting her from masculine oppression. She made it sound like I was trying to chain her to a kitchen sink instead of just hoping she'd pay for her own half of a burrito. Then came Thursday. Thursday blew the whole facade apart. I was packing the last boxes when her phone rang. It was the landlord from her old apartment, the place she lived before we moved in together. He'd tracked her down because she skipped her final month's rent and it had gone to collections. She owed over $1,400 plus fees. And she'd been ignoring it for over a year. As soon as she hung up, she exploded. Full meltdown. Started screaming about how the debt collectors were vibrational parasites. That worrying about debt was low consciousness. That society's obsession with money was blocking her spiritual potential. I told her debt happens when you take things you don't pay for. And I swear to you, she grabbed a rose quartz and threw it at me. A rose quartz. The stone of love and compassion. The irony would have been hilarious if it hadn't been flying at my face. By Friday, I just wanted out. It was my last full day there. And Allison, realizing she had one move left on the board, played it. She told me she was pregnant. Just like that. Out of nowhere. She said she'd just found out. I asked to see the test. She said she threw it away. I offered to buy another one. She said that would be traumatizing. I pointed out we hadn't even been together that way for almost a month. So unless she got pregnant by osmosis, the timeline made no sense. Her response? She sobbed harder and said my lack of trust was ruining our family. By Saturday morning, the pregnancy vanished like yesterday's horoscope. Not a single mention of it. Instead she was back to hugging me, whispering that she didn't want to lose what we had. And then yesterday came. Moving day. I hired movers, carried out boxes, dismantled furniture while she sat on the couch sobbing dramatically and live-streaming herself on Instagram. No joke, she broadcast her heartbreak live to hundreds of people who cheered her on and typed little heart emojis as I walked past carrying lamps and boxes. She told her followers she was releasing what no longer served her and opening space for her true soulmate. Meanwhile she begged me not to leave under her breath. I don't think I've ever seen someone try to be devastated and enlightened at the same time. When the movers left with the last piece of furniture, the apartment looked like an empty warehouse. And that's when Allison realized something big. Almost everything in that apartment had been mine. The sofa, TV, bed, chairs, pans, plates, gone. What she had left was a yoga mat, a pile of pillows on the floor, and enough crystals to open a psychic gift shop. That was the moment the illusion cracked. She called her parents again in full-blown panic mode. I could hear her dad through the phone asking where she planned to live. She kept saying she didn't know yet, and he asked why she hadn't figured this out weeks ago. The call ended with him saying she could move home, but she'd have to get a real job and live by their rules. No more spiritual business. No more playing guru. Time to be an adult. She hung up on him. As I did my final walkthrough, she suddenly grabbed my arm, tears streaking down her face. Please don't do this. I'll do anything. I'll get a real job. I'll pay half. We can even talk about marriage if that's what you want. I gently pulled my arm away. I told her, I don't want a partner who only considers contributing when she's facing homelessness. Partnership should be something you want because of love, not to avoid consequences. She started shouting that I was abandoning her in her darkest hour. So I reminded her. 3 months ago, she told me commitment was a cage. That she would never let a man trap her in a boring life of expectations. That she needed freedom to follow her spiritual path. I looked at her sitting on a yoga mat surrounded by crystals she never paid for and said, I'm not abandoning you, Allison. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. Total freedom from any expectations. You should be happy. She tried to take it back, saying she didn't mean it. But she did. And that's okay. We just want different things. I told her she could call if she had an actual emergency. Otherwise, we were done. When I closed the door, she was still crying on that mat, surrounded by the same crystals she used to justify never growing up. Now I'm sitting in my new place. It's smaller. It costs more than half of what I was paying before. But when I woke up this morning, I felt something I haven't felt in a long time. Breathing room. Peace. Actual freedom. Edit. For those asking, as far as I know, she moved back in with her parents. Her Instagram went silent last night. No quotes, no crystal pics, no live stream, nothing. And honestly, that silence says more than all her mantras ever did. Hey everyone. A lot of you asked for an update, and I'm pretty sure this will be the last one. It's been a couple weeks since I packed my things, left that crystal-filled apartment, and started over. And I don't say this lightly. I feel like I've been reborn into basic adulthood. And it's amazing. Living alone again feels like opening a window after years of stale incense. My apartment is clean, and it stays clean. There's no trail of glittering rocks everywhere. No burning sage clouding the air like I'm living inside a smoky exorcism. No lectures about how my need for organization restricts my creative energy. I can watch whatever TV I want without hearing that my shows are rooted in low vibrations. And food in my fridge? It actually remains in my fridge. But here's the wildest part, despite paying more in rent now, I'm saving money. Turns out, when you're not secretly paying for someone's mystical classes and weekly essential oil hauls, life gets a whole lot cheaper. Last weekend, I swung by a coffee shop near my old neighborhood. That's when I saw her, Allison, with a guy I'd never seen before. They were sitting close, and she had that same wounded spirit look she used when we first met, eyes big and tragic, hand on her heart, like she's been chosen to carry the pain of the world. She wiped a tear, and he leaned in all protective and empathetic. She was dressed in a flowy white dress that screamed, "I'm too delicate for life's harsh realities." And he looked like he'd swallowed the bait without even chewing. Later that day, her Instagram came out of hibernation like it had never been touched. There was a sunset picture with a caption about how the universe gives you exactly what you need. Another post about divine timing and releasing what no longer serves you to make space for blessings. Her comment section was a chorus of moon emojis and "You deserve this Queen 2 hearts" from her wellness friends. Not a single whisper about how she was begging me not to leave literally 2 weeks ago. Then some mutual friends filled me in. Remember how her parents were sending her money? Well, they cut her off. Completely. Her dad apparently told her she had 30 days to get a real job if she wanted to keep living at home. She lasted 5 days before moving in with the new guy from the coffee shop. 5 days. Her mom actually messaged me to apologize. She said they regretted enabling her and were hoping that living with me would finally push her to grow up. Instead, they just outsourced their problem onto me. Her mom was genuinely kind, and honestly, she's been manipulated just as badly as I was. Apparently, Allison told them I'd stolen 2 years of her life and left her with nothing. When they reminded her she'd never once contributed financially, she said they were choosing money over love and were being corrupted by the masculine system. They're done enabling her now. Maybe that means she'll finally be forced to grow up, eventually. But if history repeats itself, she'll probably have to break a few more hearts first. Meanwhile, I've dipped a toe back into dating. And I can't describe how refreshing it is to talk to someone who actually wants to build something with me, instead of just building a fantasy on my dime. I grabbed coffee with a woman last week, and when she offered to pay for her drink, I swear, that was the most attractive thing I've experienced in years. Not because of the money, but because it said everything. She sees me as a person, not a provider. After everything I've been through, equality feels like luxury. So, to everyone who helped me stay sane through the gaslighting and chaos, thank you. You guys were like the grounding wire in a house full of unstable electricity. Time to go actually live my life. Minus the crystals, the smoke clouds, and the spiritual ransom demands. Peace out. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I feel bad for the new guy. Honestly? Yeah. But warning him would just make me look like the bitter ex, and she'd spin it into a whole victim narrative. He'll figure it out. Maybe not today. Maybe not this month. But eventually, he'll learn exactly what divine timing really costs.